Hi, I'm Karza. This is Navarone9942. First off, by saying, how are you doing? And please start with your name, stream. Of course, I said your name already, and what you tend to do with your stream on your channel.
Uh, but yeah, I'm Navarone 9942, though I tend to go by Nav. And what do I do on my stream? Farming Simulator.
All right. So, with your channel, what do you tend to do with it?
As I say, I usually play Farming Sim off late. I mean, technically, variety streamer, I do stream other things, but it's mainly Farming Sim lately.
Oh, okay.
I'm over 250 hours in, and I'm not bored yet.
I know it's an awesome game, I have to say. So, since we already know you really do like the farming simulator, what other games do you like to play?
I've done a full playthrough of the entire World of Assassination trilogy for Hitman. That's probably my second most played game.
Okay.
And currently, I'm torturing you with Doom.
Yes, you are.
The torturing is a bit. No, you're enjoying it, so
I'm actually
it's not
liking
really.
Doom.
I, I thought I was going to be cruel, and then it backfired, and you actually really enjoyed it. So yay!
So it didn't backfire, did it?
It backfired, and I thought you were going to have a bad time for a few hours. And then, literally, the most I've been able to annoy you with is when you made that one comment about the visuals.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that disappeared when I explained it's a game from 1993. Yeah.
So, what originally got you into gaming?
Oh, the original thing for gaming was when I was younger. My dad was training to do. He was moving from the sort of start. He did a lot of driving jobs when I was younger, and like also before I was born. And he was actually moving into medical care.
Mm-hmm.
So he was spending a lot of time at university, to get the qualifications and stuff that he needed. My mum at the time, she'd always been in medical care, and to allow my dad to have like better time to study and everything, she was doing a lot of agency work along with working in a residential nursing home. So effectively, both mum and my dad had really long hours, and uh, my sister was absolutely amazing in the way that she would lock me out of the house and try and get me injured in various ways. Uh, you know, it was absolutely amazing. So basically, like I got it was very early that I got like a key to the house and everything, which really annoyed my sister because she was like 14 when she got a key to the house. But it was basically because I needed to be safe, essentially. I
Mm-hmm.
needed to be able to get into the house. If my mum was out at work and potentially my dad was doing an agency shift or whatever, I needed to be able to get in the house. And I was never really one for watching TV shows. The old Saturday morning cartoon stuff. I don't really have
Yeah.
much of that. And one of the things that we had very early on was a ZX Spectrum, of all things. Uh, and I got an Atari at one point, but those were never really huge things. Because over here, because I'm in Scotland, see, Nintendo kind of screwed up the launch of the NES in
Mm-hmm.
Europe. Sega is what was popular over here. So I can't remember if it was for my birthday or for Christmas that year, but I came down and I was basically handed a Sega Master System 2, which basically put me on the road to today.
Okay. So, what does streaming and gaming mean to you?
Well, gaming's always been a pastime. Um, it's always been like the main pastime that I have because it's one of those things when you look at movies, you're a passive observer. When when you read a book, like the story's already written. When it comes to video games, you're not just watching or listening to the story or whatever. You're actually controlling the story. I mean, you take something like The Witcher 3, for instance. Yes, it's a very heavily, uh, they have a story, but you do have choices in that game where if we were to play through the game, my Geralt might be different to yours. And there's experiences that I can have that you might not. And then there's also things that I can do in the game which I can have a very personal experience that no one else will have quite the same. And you can't really redo that experience on a movie or a TV show or in a book. You
It,
just can't get that.
so that is like the modern choose your adventure story that we had back in the 80s.
Yeah, kinda. But at the same time, you also have a lot more control over things that are going on. And because like I mean, again, using something like The Witcher 3, like you can choose when you walk out. There's a choice early on where basically you decide if you want to kill a group of people that are giving you problems, or if you want to beat them up. Or in the dialogue, you can even use a like a mentalist spell that you have to basically tell them to go away, and they will. And that's something where I mean I've read choose your own adventure books back in the day, and it they didn't really engage that level of choice because it would be do you open the box? If you do, turn to page 93, and then it just continues from there. It doesn't actually, I could open the box and then say, oh look, it's a block of gold, I'll throw it away. Or hey, it's a block of gold, I'll sell it. Hey, it's a block of gold, I'll chew it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, in relation to your other question there about the streaming part,
Mm-hmm.
um, is I'm incredibly socially awkward. I really don't like speaking to people. It's it's never been a thing for me. Um, and it's a lot easier to actually speak to somebody, especially if you've never spoken to that person before. If you have, uh, a jumping off point, like I am playing this video game and you like this video game, so we discuss this video game. It's a
Uh,
lot easier to do that than start a conversation without a common point, basically.
mm-hmm. I could see that. NRT is all about gaming on a budget. Some of us can't spend a lot of money on games, so we resort to using Gaming Pass or free games. What is your favorite free game?
Um, overall free game, I would probably have to lean to a game called Guild Wars 2.
That's a recent one that
Because
has gone free, right?
it's been free for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Um, there's actually a friend called Grier who got me into Guild Wars 2. Um, I mean, it has a couple paid expansions, but they're definitely worth it. And it also has one of the greatest cash shops available because, like, literally, there's a system in the game where you can do if you have the first, sorry, no, the second expansion. There's an area you can go to. It's like a little raid dungeon. You go there, you'll find groups of people doing what's called Istan runs, where you basically go into this little town, kill a bunch of enemies, collect up a bunch of loot, which typically is plank. like literally planks of wood. There's an NPC outside the town who will buy those planks of wood for something like 2 gold a piece, and then you can go and use that gold to buy gems in the cash shop and buy like cosmetics and stuff without actually paying real money for it, which is amazing. I think it's the only game that actually does that. That you can get all the cash shop stuff without spending real money. But
That's cool.
yeah, the amount of game that you're getting for, even if you're just playing the base game without buying any of the expansions, you have like 4 character slots. You have like 3 very different like sort of starting regions, and it's massive. It's a really good game as well.
All right. So, what are your goals as a streamer?
Get paid, make play video games, have fun.
Okay.
Not necessarily in that order.
Quite an easy goal there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My general goal is I mean, I'm not one of those people looking for like, oh my god, I have to be a partner and I have to have 17,000 people on my stream, because that's just crazy. Yeah, I don't really have like a 5-year plan or anything. It's just I play video games, I have fun.
That's
That's the main thing.
that's a good reason for it. So, all right, cool.
Exactly.
In NRT, we don't just play games, but we play games that each one of us picks. When you choose a game for the collective to play, how do you choose it? What is your criteria for picking the game?
I like to look for stuff that the rest of the group may not have necessarily played, and I also, to a degree, use it as an excuse to look at stuff outside of my comfort zone and the type of games that I normally play. Like I'm not really into horror games quite often, but like at Halloween last year, I decided I was going to make a point of playing that Signalis because it was on Game Pass. So it's effectively, yeah, I could play it without having to potentially spend 20, 30 pound on a game that I may only play for a few hours and then never touch again.
That makes sense to
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
And it's literally that thing as well with, like, I mean, you take for instance the whole thing with Doom. Like, I would never have actually bought the game that we were talking about prior to that, because it didn't really appeal to me.
Mhm.
But because you chose it, I played it, and that also led to me then thinking, well, you've never played the granddaddy of that genre.
You're correct.
So
I never had.
yeah,
All
and
right.
it's kind of because you picked that game initially. But we're talking about How in Life.
Mhm.
Because you picked that game, that led to me then picking Doom, which is
Which
one of those things. I would not normally have picked Doom had it not been for you picking How in Life.
just because
Mainly
I
because
never played Doom.
yeah, well, it's because I know that for, like, I know how you have problems with the controls and stuff because of medical issues.
Yeah.
So I do try and sort of temper that a little bit, because I'm not looking to like physically harm you with a game that's going to hurt to play.
Thank you. I
At
appreciate
least, at
that.
least not yet. I might do that now that you've made me do an interview.
Aww.
Uh, I could, or
Um,
do I?
I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes your
I
kid
want
comes
to do
true.
my job.
So, okay. So, for most NRT members, there is some physical or mental challenge that affects them in the way that they are in life and in gaming. What challenge or challenges do you have, and how do you adapt to making it still fun for you in gaming?
Well, it took 30 year. It took a full 30 year for me to actually get a diagnosis of the fact that I'm autistic with side order of Asperger's, which is real fun. Essentially means I have absolutely no interest. Like, this is what I was saying about the being like socially awkward. I have no interest in like getting involved with other people, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of that, I mean, outside of streaming, I will quite often just be sitting playing a video game. I'm not even bothered to.
So is this,
I'm also
has this
I'm
pulled you
introvert.
out? Has this pulled you out of your shell a little bit?
To a degree, yeah.
Because you
Because
would
as
have
I say,
never met me from across the pond if
yeah, exactly.
you didn't. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I used to watch a guy on Twitch who used to stream Kerbal Space Program,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was literally how I met a long-term friend Grier,
Mm-hmm.
because at the time we were both watching that stream, and we were also playing the game ourselves. So we were quite knowledgeable about stuff in the game. So quite often people would ask a question in the chat, and we'd be sitting there watching the stream, and like, oh, that person's asking that. I know the answer to that question, so type that in. And after like a couple months, I found out that the guy who was streaming Scourge 13, he actually had contacted both me and Grier asking if we would be interested in being moderators for him, because clearly we knew what we were talking about with the game, and we were essentially like pillars of that community
Mm-hmm.
around that stream. And then of course we got talking, uh, because we were we were considering like joining Scourge on a multiplayer thing, and it was like it might be an idea for us to actually talk prior to that, so we kind of have some idea of who each of us are essentially, going into that. And I mean, I've known him for about 10 years now or something. So like, I mean, that's one of those things that through a mutual interest, and that's only happened because of we were both sitting watching the same stream.
Right.
So I would never have gotten talking to him, and then through that, I mean, he's actually the one that introduced me to the whole thing of RSSG, and the group there, and subsequently you and your community, and then also Hellhound on the side there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would never have met any of the people through RSSG had it not been for 10 years ago getting into a friendship with Grier through watching a stream on Twitch.
Well, let's speak about that. What do you get out of NRT and RSSG?
Well, I mean, exactly what I was just saying there.
Just
Because
friends.
it's that thing where like people say, oh, you should go out and meet people, but if that's something which you actually like, I suppose there's part of you that oh, what's the word?
Fear?
Um,
Fear people?
Not so much fear, but you've got like part of you which sabotages your own
Ah,
thing. It's like I kind of feel I feel like there's part of me that's out to sabotage myself.
okay.
It's kind of like that thing where someone can ask a question about something. I could say, oh, I could totally help you with that, but I can't help myself with the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that. Like, so I do a lot of 3D modeling and stuff, and like I have intense artistic block a lot of the time for stuff, and then somebody says, excuse me, like a friend will say, oh, I wish I had uh, a cool helmet for a model, and I'm immediately like, I could think of 30,000 helmet ideas. I could totally make you one. But for me, I look at that and say, I kind of wish I had a helmet for that model. why can I not think of a single helmet design? You know,
Right.
and that's that problem. So
Mm-hmm.
like if I was to go out and try and like talk to people, it would not end well. Basically because I'm not. It's what I say. I have nothing to talk about with people
Or you
because
don't know
I
what to talk about other
yeah,
than the
I,
weather
I
because you have no idea
exactly. And who
their
talks about the
ideas.
weather? Yeah, and who talks about the weather? The weather sucks here. You know, you go
True.
out, you say it's in the place that I live. You go out, you say, "Hey, what do you think of that weather?" And they go, "Oh, it's raining." You know, that's basically it. We have two weather types. We have dry and cold and wet and cold. That's basically what we have. And I mean, it's like I don't really watch sports, so like I don't have that thing where, hey, how's about local sports team? You know, can't exactly have a conversation like that.
Okay. All right. So, do you have a favorite streaming story?
Well, directly on stream, this happened where years ago I used to stream a game called Might Your Friends. It's a
Mm-hmm.
physics climbing game. If you've ever played GURP or QWOP, QWOP is a game where you use like four keys to try and make a guy run along a 100-meter sprint.
Oh,
GURP
okay.
is the same kind of idea, except you're playing as a climber, and you have to press the keys on the keyboard for the grip uh, points for the guy to try and climb to. Like you press the key, he reaches for that point. Um, Mount Your Friends is kind of similar. You basically are climbing a tower that's made by other members of the, like, you have a little team of people, and you're basically trying to create like a human pyramid as
Oh,
tall as
this is the
possible.
game you want me to play sometime.
And I don't even have to pay to get you to play that because it has remote play. But yeah, so at one point in time, I was in a group of very high ranked players for that game because essentially I was one of like maybe 50 people that streamed it. And at one point, I was playing the game, I was just messing around with it, and a couple guys came into the stream, and they were talking all kinds of smack about how I was bad at the game, I couldn't play it, I was clearly the worst at the game and everything. So eventually, we end up in a game where they have challenged me, they're going to wipe the floor with me. I handily destroyed them in 5 games in a row before they decided, yeah, this guy's actually too good for us, and left. And
Wow.
the thing that mainly stuck out was the fact that they didn't even have the maturity to even pretend to say, like, oh, we're sorry about talking so much smack. Clearly, you're better. They just left without a word.
Oh, well, at least it didn't make too much more of a problem for you.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
in terms of that, that was probably one of my most watched streams for that, because somehow a bunch of people turned up to watch that, and it was a lot of fun.
So, what is your favorite game? And specifically, if you want to, what is your favorite game to stream?
Well, at the moment, the favorite thing for streaming is farming sim, just because it has a lot of systems to mess with, and I just enjoy it as one of those sort of relaxing games. I can just put it on stream for 4 or 5 hours. It's fun. Plus, I see a decent amount of viewership, so clearly people are interested in watching the game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, go ahead and tell us your schedule and your channel. And thank you for participating, sharing your story with us, and being part of NRT. Thank you for allowing me to interview you today, and I hope that this is a great day for us.
I do too. And yeah, the stream schedule I'm working on currently is uh, an hour of whatever we're doing for Nexus Roundtable, and then 3 to 4 of whatever my main stream is afterwards, which in case for me today would be more Farming Simulator. Shocking, I know. And other than that, it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 8 p.m. GMT, which is 2 p.m. CST, and then you can adjust for whatever your time zones are.